Alright, so this is What Was Missing. I'm just going to talk about what we were talking about before this vlog started. What's going on with Marceline and Bubblegum then? Because you were just like, you know, ooh, maybe something that comes up.
Really? Was I going, ooh?
Yeah, you were going, ooh, like that. Ooh.
Jesus.
And then you say, I'm not going to give away because it's going to spoil everything.
And push.
No, you say you're not going to say anything, it's going to spoil everything, but just to have
No.
people so angry at you in the forums, I just want to see you talk about it and ruin it for me.
No, it's nothing to be ruined. It's just when Bree first started showing me this show and everything, this was already, you know, the show kept moving along and I wasn't really keeping up. And I heard about this episode and there's a lot of controversy over it.
Really?
Because there were groups that were bitching and moaning because Bubblegum and Marceline, this episode shows them, quote-unquote, having a past homosexual relationship.
What, with the shirt?
With the shirt, the way that Marceline is singing to Bubblegum, the way they're reacting to each other, there's supposedly a lot of, you know, gay undertones to it, and people were flipping the hell out over it.
You know,
And I was excited to see the episode the first time, and I watched it, and I'm like, I guess if you really dig, sure, you can find it, but I thought it was just kind of cute.
You know, for a show that, I mean, we'll go over the setup real fast here. Was it the Doormaster, is that what it's called? Or the Door Lord.
Door Lord, that was it. Thank
Yeah.
you, floating voice. Magic voice, I'll call you.
The Door Lord comes in, just hilarious opening because it just goes. And I love that.
His face was brilliant. And all of a sudden, he's just like...
As soon as this thing pops up, and it pops up so quick, makes these weird sounds, sounds strange, moves so quick, throws a door, steals something of theirs, runs into the door, goes to another place, they're trying to follow it, and goes past this kid, steals the toy, he gets the name.
I'll get back your
Don't worry,
kid.
toy, I'll get you back your kid. I mean, it's like, it's going so fast, even Finn can't keep the words together because everything is happening so fast, and it's a perfect opening because the rest of it is so much slower and calmer and more subdued. So it's a perfect, freaking hilarious opening. And the design of this thing, the way it talks, it doesn't talk, it just goes like that. It has like extra length arms with like an extra elbow and stuff. And it's just a great design. And it's so funny. But then they get to this door and it has this little riddle that pretty much says you have to sing in a band to open it. And they're trying to figure it, so they're trying to do that. It's Bubblegum, it's Marceline, it's Finn and Jake.
And Bimo.
And Bimo, that's right. And I think, and so they're trying to do these various songs to try and open it up, and sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not, and they're trying to figure out how and why. And I'm just going to say now, because we were talking about cosplays a lot in the last one, Jake as the jerk rocker. Has anyone cosplayed as that?
I've never seen that.
That is hilarious. Like, if I cosplayed, I would do that. I would put, like, all my effort or whatever into somehow making that Jake jerk rocker, because I thought, when he just showed up with the jeans and the booked hair and just the no shirt, just, let's go, it used to be about the music. Every time he was on screen, he looked like that, it killed me.
I just love when he's running away and he's like, I quit the band! I'm just kidding!
Yeah, and the fact that he runs away backwards, I quit the band! I mean, it's obvious just for attention or whatever, but, alright, so...
Well, you forgot, what's the Door Lord doing? He's stealing something important to everyone.
Yeah, and that brings them together, and they eventually find out they have to sing about the truth. Mm-hmm. And that opens up the door, and they say, oh, it was all about bringing us together, wasn't the Door Lord so happy? Then you cut to him just beaten to a pulp. and at the end, everyone's given something back, and Bubblegum's given back this rocker shirt, which
well, first they think it's Marceline.
Yeah, they think it's Marceline, and then it's revealed that Marceline actually gave that to her, and that Bubblegum actually it meant a lot to her, and Marceline kind of didn't know, and then Marceline actually didn't lose anything, she just wanted to hang out, and then she gets really angry and chases them, and it's, you know, as nice an ending you can get as a girl turning into a giant monster chasing them can be. Okay, so the whole episode, like I said, is, with the exception of the opening, and even kind of the ending, it's very slow and very sort of character developing, and it has a lot of music to it, which is really nice, and it turns out what's missing to open the door is truth. And the two big elements that start to open it, one is Marceline snapping at Bubblegum, and which is not usually that big a shock, whatever, but it's like this really long song sequence. I mean, she's really going into detail, sort of like with the dad and the fries thing. And that starts to open it up, but then she can't keep it going, or she can't think of lyrics, and the door closes. And then Finn realizes when he starts singing about how he feels about Bubblegum and what was taken for him and stuff, that starts to open it up. He realizes it was the truth, and they start to sing, and that opens it up. The first thing I want to talk about before we get to the Marceline Bubblegum thing is I really like the kid doing Finn when he starts singing in kind of that, I think it's kind of falsetto, don't quote me on that, but I think it is, so the very deep voice like that, and so he pulls that off really well because it was, it sounded like there's a lot of emotion in that.
If I remember right, the kid who does it is an actual singer.
Yeah, I mean, he...
yeah.
And he did that... It sounded very authentic, I mean, for someone that... Because usually in musicals, especially in animation, I mean, the voice has to sound really good, or it's people struggling to make it sound really good. That was a very emotional tone that he hit. And people forget that can work just as well. And it's a nice sounding voice too, don't get me wrong. But I thought that was a real good note that he hit, no pun intended. And then... yeah, there's this whole thing with Marceline and Bubblegum, and I like when he's singing about, we realize it's the truth, and he sings about how much they all mean to him and stuff. I like when he says, I even liked when you two fought.
Yeah.
I like that because it's still saying, look, yeah, that it sucks that we had to fight, but at the same time, it's nice that we care about each other enough that we can fight. It's nice that we care about enough that we can open up to kind of fight.
Yeah.
And we can show, what makes us angry, and we can be this way. We're comfortable enough to be this way around each other. So I like that. It's just like one lyric, but it actually did kind of strike a chord, again, no pun intended, with me. And so it's, honestly, for me, that was probably the biggest moment where I was just like, wow, that was nice. That was, like, the tone and everything helped, but I really like that one lyric. But yeah, okay, so let's talk about this whole possible lesbian Marceline Bubblegum thing. Is it ever, without going into too much detail, is it ever kind of addressed again or hinted at again?
When I won't say it's addressed. It's never in any way, shape, or form actually fully addressed.
I was gonna say they would never be able to just say it out loud, at least not at this point.
But there's a few other things that do kind of come up that I don't know if they're trying to say that yes, this actually happened, no, it didn't, or what, or if they're just kind of messing with people. But a few things do kind of pop up here and there. And there's some stuff that's actually kind of touching that does happen later on. It's
interesting because watching it, I did think it was a little weird that, particularly when Marceline was singing so long in the beginning with the door, and I was like, wow, she's like really obsessing over this. But then again, she also got really upset when her dad ate her fries, and I don't know how that all ties in necessarily, or if it does, or it's all part of a joke, whatever. So you look like you have something interesting.
Actually, I do peek on the forums and all that stuff, and I don't know, a few people have said it, and I think they may have actually hit the nail on the head with the whole Fry song. I think they may have gotten it, because I think we're looking a bit too deep into it. They brought up the fact that, one, it's after the apocalypse, food is scarce. Two, so the fact that she had food, and her father, who doesn't even need food to survive or even do anything, is eating the fries just because he kind of can.
But isn't...
And it's one of those things where it's like, she's like, you took one thing that was kind of actually important to me, and you don't even need it. It's like taking away a kid's toy and tossing it to the side just because.
I was gonna say, you know what I can see? I can see it being something, like you said, that represents something that really means a lot to her, because it's like the one thing possibly from the past world or whatever.
Yeah, after the apocalypse, how easy is it going to be to get fries?
I don't know if... I guess, but I don't know. Aren't there, like, food people and stuff? I mean, how they... And isn't she a vampire now, so she, like, eats other people, or how, I forget, how she live again?
She can drink blood, but she likes, the color. She likes to eat red.
Oh, that's right. She likes to eat red. That's right. So, I mean, would that even matter?
At the same time, she's still a person, or a female, or a kid. You know, you have to think about it from that perspective of Dad is doing something just because he can, and without regard for how she even feels.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It could very well be. I don't know. But
Whoever said that on the forums, I agree with them.
It's an interesting thought. I'm not disagreeing. No,
Yeah,
I'm saying it's interesting, which is a very nice way of saying I disagree. No, but I
no,
think it could be.
The bubbling thing, as people call it, bubbling.
Sounds like a detergent.
Yeah, it does. Is something that definitely floats around in the fanfic and all of that stuff.
Yeah, even before this episode, I'm sure that was in the fanfic.
Yeah.
It's, but what I was saying is that I didn't think that much about it because, Adventure Time, weird. They get upset or happy about the strangest things. But now that that's put out there, it's like impossible for me not to see it. The other thing it would really explain is why Bubblegum is not that interested in Finn, wouldn't it? I mean, she's getting older and, she's has interests elsewhere, and it's like not only here's this kid that's like younger than her, but at the same time it's just that's what she likes. So yeah, now that's put out there, I think it's interesting. But even if you took that element out of it, let's say that's not it, and it's just like a really close friendship, it would be interesting that there's definitely something that Marceline and Bubblegum had that you didn't see before and you weren't even really made aware of. That there was there's definitely like this past, whether it be a friendship or a relationship or whatever, that was never hinted at before. And if they touch on it more and more, I would like to see that because I'm just curious. It doesn't even matter that much to me. I mean, it would be nice to know, but it doesn't matter that much if they were just friends or their actual item.
It's just the past you'd like to know.
I'd like to know what they shared. I like to know exactly like what they connected on, because they seem like two very different people, and it's nice to see how they would come together on something, or even like what set them apart. So I don't know. See, now it's like whether it's a friendship or like I said, they were a couple. Now I'm like friggin' fascinated by it. I don't know if I necessarily would have caught on to that. I mean, I definitely would have gotten like the shirt meant something, and you
The
see
fact
that
that
on both of them.
Marceline actually blushes over it and everything.
Yeah, but
That's what Adventure Time does really well. It starts out as this cutesy, weird, bizarre kids show, but as it goes along, it's like, holy crap, these characters have a bit more behind them, I'd like to know more. And they throw you an episode where you learn a little bit, but not so much where it's like, oh, you don't need to know any more about Bubblegum or Marceline or anything. You get bits and pieces that make you want to keep watching to see the whole thing finally unfold.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me kind of like what Family Guy could have been, or was almost going in one direction, where it's like we start off in a world where we can do anything.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, the possibilities. And for a while they do sort of do that, but then they just sort of... Family Guy had very little... I mean, there was character, but not a ton to go off of, so where I think they need to create more character, and sometimes they did, it went more for kind of just the weird joke after weird joke, and it starts to get predictable, and I haven't watched it in a while. But with this show, it takes the advantage, it seems to take every advantage that it has with this idea that it can take something where anything can happen, and it can throw anything you want into it. So if you're in a certain mood, or you're in you have this idea that you want to express, or you have a new character, you can just do it. And nobody's going to question it or get angry or anything, because it's just that kind of world it created. And it keeps you sucked in because there's still this core focus on these very likable characters that you learn more and more about, and this world that keeps throwing new things at you. I mean, I'm never bored with this world. And that's really shocking for something that's supposed to be so unexpected and constantly be throwing fresh and new things, which is really harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
But they really do such a good job.
It reminds me of, or it makes me think of, I don't know what it's called, the executive balls. That's what I'll call them. The one where you have the 3 balls and there's the 4 and 5, and you let one go, It
Oh,
hits with just a chain reaction.
Is that really what they're called? These
I don't know. I just
that
call
had to
them
be
executive
hilarious
balls.
if that's what they were called.
I don't know what they're called.
But
that's
what
what I
was
call
your
them.
connection with that?
The 3 balls in the center are the average episodes. The 2 on the end that swing vastly further out, you have the overly bizarre comedic ones. And then in between that, you have a few normal ones, and then you have the overly emotional ones where you actually learn or you gain respect for characters. And most shows don't have a balance of that, where...
Or if they do, they stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, this one it's like a natural reaction going back and forth between the two, where you're right, they can throw whatever at you, and you can take it in stride because you're used to this normal momentum that the show has created.
And I think part of that, too, that I think a lot of good shows have figured out is that it's not as much adding new stuff on top of what you already know. It's finding out what you didn't know about them before. Like this is... I mean, this episode is what, just getting back a shirt and some hair, and it's getting back these little items, but it's finding out more about the past history, and you know, so much of the past is a mystery. And I think you find out more about the characters through what they haven't shown. Lost did that a lot, I think, very effectively. Avatar, Last Airbender did that a lot. So, yeah, it's a good way of doing it. It's a tougher, more complicated way, but I think it pays off if done well. I think this is done well.
It doesn't sit there and throw something in your face and go, see, look at what happened back then, look at what happened back then. It's like, oh, look, something may have happened.
Yeah, you kind of got to work
for it a little bit.
Yeah, you want to know
so
what
much
happens.
not
Keep
so much
watching.
where you can't enjoy the show even if you don't want to work for it. Like, you can watch this brain dead, not care, I just want to laugh, still enjoy it fine. But if you want to read more into it, if you want to know more about the characters and the past and
Read a
stuff,
book, go to the library.
that too. The more you know. It'll be interesting to see if I actually am not lazy enough to put that little caption in or not.
Oh, please do.
I want to, but like I said, my memory and my laziness might get in the way, so...
Just don't lose it.
You'll just have to stay tuned. Yeah, nice.
You've already lost
Nice.
2.
So
I quit the vlogs. I'm out of here, man. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna lose this footage anyway.